What's up YouTube? This is Shorish and welcome to your third tutorial on Intermediate Java. In this video I'm going to talk about what a JPanel is and how to add one to your JFrame. And then we'll go on to talk about the color class. So, what is a JPanel? Now the content pane of the JFrame, that is the part enclosed by the border of the frame, is not fully customizable. That is, we can add components like buttons, text fields, checkboxes and all those other cool things, but there are many other things that we can't really add to a JFrame. One such simple thing is that we cannot change the background color of the JFrame, nor can we paint things onto the JFrame like circles or squares. So, we say that it's not fully customizable, and for these purposes we use a JPanel. All these things which I just mentioned can be added to the JPanel instead, and then we can add the JPanel to the JFrame. So we create the JFrame and the JPanel, add all the cool stuff we want to the JPanel, and then add the JPanel to the JFrame. As simple as that. So let's go ahead and create an object of JPanel. And the JPanel class is also present in the javax.swing package, so we don't need to import anything else. We create JPanel object2 is equal to new JPanel, and the constructor doesn't take in any parameter, and when we create an object, an instance of JPanel is already created by default. Now what we need to do is we need to add the JPanel to the JFrame object that we have created, and that is also very simple. Object.add object2. And it's as simple as that. The object of the JPanel, that is object2, gets added to the JFrame. And now this part of the JFrame, that is the content pane of the JFrame, has the JPanel in it. So we'll go ahead and compile that, and I'll just run it. And obviously you can't make out the difference, but I'll tell you that this portion now is not the content pane anymore, it's the JPanel. But we haven't really customized the JPanel in any way, so it seems as if nothing has been changed. So we're going to go ahead and customize the JPanel a bit, and the only thing we're going to do in this video today is change the background color of the JPanel. And that brings us to the second part of this video tutorial. What is the color class? Now the color class is present in another package known as the auth package or the abstract windows toolkit. So we'll go ahead and import that, java.awt. AWT stands for abstract windows toolkit, and now we can access the color class. Now what exactly is a color in Java? And for this I'm going to use a program that I created a few years ago, and it's called a color chooser. So this will help us. Now a color in Java is composed of three primary colors, that is red, green and blue. This is contrary to if you have learned painting, you'll probably know that the primary colors are red, blue and yellow. But if you are a physics student, or if you know a bit about computers, you will probably know that there are three primary colors, that is red, green and blue, and you can vary the amount of these colors to get any desired color you want to. Now each color ranges from 0 to 255. So if I have 255, 0, 0, so that is 255, 0 and 0, that means you have the color red. And if we decrease the amount, suppose 149, 0, 0, then we have a deeper shade of red. Similarly, if we have 0 to 55, 0, we have green, and there's a deeper shade of green, and same thing for blue, right? So for creating a color in Java, we need to pass three parameters to the color class, that is the values of the red, green and blue. And as I said before, these values range from 0 to 255. Now the secondary colors in programming, or rather in computers, are magenta, cyan and yellow. And red plus green, if we have 255, 255, 0, then that gives us yellow. That is our first primary color. That is red plus green gives yellow. Red plus blue gives magenta. That is 255, 255 is magenta. And blue plus green gives us cyan. So that's 255, 255 is cyan. Now you need to remember the order in which these comes. Red comes first, G comes second, and blue comes third. So it's RGB. Okay. Now a few more interesting things is that if it's 000, obviously no color is present, so the color is black. And if we have 255, 255, 255, then you probably guess the color becomes white. Right, so that's white. And one thing is that suppose you have any color, like suppose I have this, let's try to make a good looking color. Let's put that red a bit more. Something brighter. Yeah. So suppose we have this green color. And suppose I want a deeper shade of this same green color. Then simply what I will do is I will just decrement each of these values by the same amount. So suppose I decrement the value of red by 20, then I have to do the same thing to green and blue. So this red will become 64 minus 20, that is 44, and 118 minus 20 is, I don't know, 98. Wait a second. 98, and 55 minus 20 is 35, so 35. And now as you can see, we have a deeper shade of that same color, and similarly if you want a lighter shade of that color, we add this amount. So suppose we are adding 44 plus 40, we get 84, 98 plus 40, we get 138, and 35 plus 40 is 75, right? And we have a lighter shade of that same color. This is easier to understand. So suppose you have black and you want gray. Now gray is basically a lighter shade of black. So simply what you will do, sorry, I made white by mistake. Simply what you're going to do is you're going to add the same amount to each of these values. So red, blue, green, all 0. So if we have the same amount, suppose 62 for both red, for all three of these colors, red, green and blue, you will get a shade of gray. Similarly, if you're going to increase it a bit more, suppose 111 for each, you will get a lighter shade of gray, and that's quite obvious from what I just told you. Now one last thing about colors is suppose we have a color like this. Now if I want a deeper shade of this color, how do I get it? Because I can't add anything to red anymore. Red has its maximum value. Well, if I want a lighter shade of this color, I just need to change these two values now. Since this is already 255, we don't need to add anything to it. Now if you want a lighter color, suppose I want a lighter color of this pink, I will add suppose 40 to both of these. So it will become 151, 321, 51, and that will also become 151. And there we have a lighter shade of that color. So if it's already as its maximum value, any one component, we don't need to add anything else to it to get a lighter color or a deeper color. And this can be applied even if two colors, suppose we have yellow and we want a deeper shade of yellow, then we can just move this blue portion. And if you want a lighter shade, of yellow, we can move this portion, blue part. And if you want a deeper shade, we can just, of course, move these values to the same portion. So we have red and green 177, that's a deeper shade of yellow. And that's the basics of what a color is in Java. So now that we know what a color is, we can actually set the color of the JPanel. And for that we are going to use a method, and this method is also quite simple. It's called setBackground. So we are going to write object2.setBackground, and we are going to make it new color, This is a temporary instance of the color class. So we write new color, and then we put, suppose we want to make it red. So red is 255.00, so we go 255.00, right? And that's all. Let's run this code. Okay. And press OK there. And as you can see, now the entire frame is red in color. Now this couldn't be done without the help of a JPanel. We couldn't do directly set the color of a JFrame. We need to do it using a JPanel. Okay. Now the basic colors are already predefined in the color class. So colors like red, green, blue, the primary colors, or the secondary colors, blues, like cyan, magenta, and yellow, or other colors, basic colors like orange, black, white, purple, all these pink. All these colors are predefined in color class. So you don't need to really make up these colors using RGB values. You can, suppose I want to make it black. Now black is already present in the color class. So we need to simply write color dot black. Right? And black is a constant because it takes, black is basically an object of the color class. I mean, it is a constant of the color class, and it has these three values, that is 255.00, so it's a constant. So that is why it's in all caps, and we'll compile that and run it. And you see now it's black in color. The entire screen is going to come black in color, and that looks quite cool to me at least. And we can similarly write color dot white if it's white, color dot pink if it's pink. Now we're writing color dot because these constants are present in the color class, so we need to write color dot to access them. We just can't write black or white or anything just like that. We need to write color dot. And one more thing is that you can also set the transparency for that color. So if you want to make a new color and we write 255.00, that is we had done before. This is the red color, and supposing we want to make this color transparent, now we can add a fourth value to these three values, and this is known as the alpha value. Now the alpha value here, it takes a number from 0 to 255 again, that is 256, and it is basically the opacity. So if you put 255 here, it's going to be 100% opaque red. And if you want to make it transparent, 0 is 100% transparent red. So if you put 0 here, you won't be able to see the red at all. So we'll compile that and we'll run it, and you'll see the gray color again because the red is not present there at all. So there you go, gray color, no red present at all. Red is completely transparent. And if we want to make the transparent to something visible, suppose I'm going to make the transparency to 100. And we're going to run it again. So if we run that, you'll see have a transparent red color, and it looks pinkish, but it's actually a transparent red. One last thing, these values that you're passing to the color class to make a new, rather the color constructor to make a new instance of the color class cannot have a value more than 255. So suppose I put 256 here, you will see it will compile and give no syntax error, but when you will run it, it will give you a runtime error. So we'll run it and I'll show you the runtime error that it gives. And there you go, it's giving a runtime error, color parameter outside of expected range, red in java.odd.color. So that's an illegal argument exception that you get. So the program won't run. So you need to make sure that the color range that you're giving is between 0 and 255. And now that's all for today. Much better things coming up soon. Stay tuned, and that's all for today. See you next time.